Hello, everybody. Come in, come in. Come into the Zoom room. I am just going to get the live feed going on Facebook. All right. Hello, hello, everybody. Good to see you here today. As you're getting settled in, let us know in the chat where you're joining us from. Where in the world? And if you saw the eclipse last night, it was too cloudy for us here. You can kind of see there's some snow on the ground out there. We got some snow last night, but that means we could not see the sky. Monique from Northern Virginia says she slept through the eclipse. Me too, except I woke up at some point. My husband was on his phone and I said, "Why are you awake?" "My brain is on." I said, "What time is it?" "It's 3:30. Must be the eclipse. Otherwise, I would have slept right through it. Barb says Thornbury, Ontario, the Blue Mountains on Georgian Bay. Ooh, sounds lovely. Allie says Dallas, Oregon, too cloudy and rainy here. Yeah, same. All right, welcome, welcome. And if you're over on Facebook, let us know in the comments where you're joining us from, or if you're watching the replay, you can just say replay. We'll give everybody a minute or two just to hop on. Oh, Barb says it was quite cloudy here and snowy, but you were at a drum circle. That sounds amazing in the snow. So lovely. Yeah, I think it's just kind of raining here now. It warmed up, so that'll make for fun roads this afternoon. All right, come in. Happy Friday, everybody. This week has flown right by. Hi, Sarah from Santa Rosa Beach. Have you, for those of you who've been here at least one of the other sessions this week, have you enjoyed this week? Have you enjoyed getting to know some of these other earth tenders? I've had fun chatting. Always enjoyable for me. Yes, awesome. Yes, mind-blowing. Yay. I know. I was saying yesterday, I've been getting some messages from people saying, "Oh my gosh, this has totally given me all new ideas about how to do my healing work, or totally different things to explore," which was exactly what I was hoping for. So I am excited if it's given you some good new ideas. Hi, Anne from Los Angeles. Welcome, welcome. All right, well, here we are on Friday on the very last day of Inspirations for Healing the Earth, although I feel like I could just keep this going for a lot longer. It's been really, really fun and enjoyable for me too. But if you haven't been here all week, and this is the first call you're joining, I'm Amy Dempster from Following Hawks, and all of the recordings from all of the other conversations I've had this week are either in the Following Hawks Earth Keepers community Facebook page, although I have noticed, or a Facebook group, but I have noticed trying to even scroll through the group, I feel like maybe because the video is coming from a third party and not within Facebook, it's not super easy to find in Facebook. It's like it's showing it to some people, but it's not super easy to find. So the easiest place to go find them is on my YouTube channel. So, and my YouTube is just Following Hawks, and they are all there. I'll have to put them in a little group playlist, I think is what it's called. So you can find them, but definitely go back and watch them, or watch them again if some of them were a little more mind-bending. If you want to revisit any of those discussions. But thank you so much. And Lori says the sun is shining in Michigan today. Well, that sounds lovely. So yes, so here we are on the last day, and it's just me today. I'm calling this open house. And so I am going to take you on a quick tour of my totally brand new Work With Me page, and just explain, if you follow me on Instagram, I've been sharing a lot the last few weeks kind of about what I've been working on and how I've been putting pieces together. And there's more available, but I've kind of done it in a different way, and I want to walk you through it just so you have an idea of what it is. And if you're already in the Earth Tenders Academy, what is included and what is not. So I'm going to do that really quickly, and then I'm just going to open the floor to any topics of discussion, any questions that you have. And yeah, you can either put questions in the chat. If you are watching on Facebook, you can ask in the comments section, or you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you, and you can ask your question that way. So before we get to that, let me share my screen. All right, and hopefully you can all see my new Work With Me page. And this page, and I'll drop the link in the chat in a moment, but for the sale, which everything is 15% off through the rest of this month, which is, well, it says on here, 11 days, 12 hours, 52 minutes and 8 seconds. Everything is 15% off. And so you need a link to get to this page where the 15% off is. So I will add that in the chat here in a second. So here is what we have now. Now, before I had a couple of options. You could join the Earth Tenders Academy, you could book a reading, or I had a ebook about portals and a healing session with Bigfoot. Those were the only options we had before. What I have done is significantly upgraded Earth Tenders Academy. And honestly, it was so big, there was so much in it that I have split it into 2 levels. So you can do level 1, you can do level 2, or you can do the entire course. The nice thing is, if you're not totally 100% sure and you want to start with just one of them, level 1 or level 2, your purchase will go towards the complete course. So if you do level 1 and you get to the end and you're like, oh, I want to do the whole course, there's a coupon code in there so that you can get it for the price of the complete course. Level 1 is really meant for if you are at a beginner state with energy work. This is going to walk you through everything when it comes to energy work. A lot of this I kind of skimmed over in Earth Tenders Academy before and just kind of assumed that you had a basis. Some of it was here, but or I went through it fairly quickly. Let me get down to what's included in it. Here we go. And so I've really elaborated on this and pulled this out as a beginner place. If you are new to energy hygiene or just doing energy work in general, this is definitely where you want to start. And so we really talked through just kind of what is earth tending, what is the difference between shamanism and animism, and all of those types of things. And then we go into frequency and vibration, which is really just learning how our physical reality is built and how we use energy work to affect matter, which, because sometimes this feels like, what are we doing? And is it really working? And how does it work? That's what we talk about in here is how that all works. Then we get into shamanic journeying, which is really just the framework that I use to, shift your consciousness into the liminal realms. And before, this was it was like a bonus and you could do a little reading and there were some meditations, but now I have a whole lesson on what it is, how it works, what are the different worlds, and then meditations to, or journeys to experience doing all of that. Then we move into keeping your personal energy clear and contained. This is what you might call energy hygiene. And it's really just making sure that you have the basics that you need to be working in the liminal spaces, and making sure that you're safe, that you are not carrying excess energy back with you or into your space, and walking you through all of that. Then we kind of do the same thing for your home. How do we get your home to a clear and neutral energy space, especially if you do have a home that needs some extra attention? And once we get all of those basics done, then we start shifting into working in the middle world, which is where we do work with the spirits of the land. So how exactly do you do it? How is the middle world different than the other worlds? And how can you discern who these different spirits are that you might be interacting with? And then we wrap up the last two modules with talking about dealing with fear, which is super common, and everybody has kind of some piece of this that they're usually dealing with. And so we address that. And finally, get to know the spirits of the place, and really start kind of initially meeting the spirits of the land where you live. So that's everything that is in Earth Tenders Academy Level 1. Like I said, good spot to start. It's great for everybody, but if you have a really good handle on energy work, personal energy hygiene, this is something you have already been doing for quite some time, you may feel comfortable going straight to level 2. And there's no prerequisite. It's up to you. You do whatever feels comfortable. But same thing, if you get into this and you say, gosh, I really wish that I also took level 1, then there's a code that you can put in and you can get level 1 as well. So this is where we get into a lot of the more, specific topics about working with the land. So getting to know the place that you live and the people that live there before you, greeting your ancient ancestors. And so you have them to work with you while you are starting to work with the other spirits of the land. And then we get into all the esoteric topics, the Earth's Living Library, portals, Stargate portals, how they're different, what to do with them. I've included meditations now on opening, closing, and moving portals, walk you through step by step. How do you open a Stargate portal? What do you do with it? All of that is in here. And then we get into working with time and timelines, how to clean up timelines, and the real super specifics on how do you do healing work? What are the methods? How does it work? How do you do things like help spirits cross over, deal with low vibe energies? All of those types of things we talk about in level 2. I have a couple of modules that I am still working on. They should come through and be in there, added to the course in the next 30 days. And that'll be grid work, weather, artificial intelligence type machines, those types of things, talking about conscious creation with the other realms. And then a whole bonus that I'm putting together on how to start your own intuitive reading and healing business, which you absolutely don't have to do, but a lot of people go through this and say, now what do I do now that I know how to do this? So I will have a module for helping you kind of know what to do and walk through that. So that's the Earth Tenders Academy. You can do the whole complete course, which is also on sale. Sorry, I am still working on the sales page on this, but you can absolutely get that. The course content is there, or like I said, you can do level 1 or level 2, wherever you feel comfortable starting, and upgrade to the other one once you finish one. I still have property readings and healings. If you would like me to do a reading on your property, the way those work is that you book it and you fill out a form letting me know what your questions are, any concerns that you have, and then I will tune in and connect with the spirits of the land where you live, go through any healing work that they request, get any information related to questions that you have. And then I record a short video for you just explaining everything that I learned, everything that I did, anything that that you might need to do going forward, and send that to you. So if you'd like to have me do a reading for you, you can do that here. And then here is what is totally new. I have pulled some specific topics out of Earth Tenders Academy to act as standalone workshops, because sometimes I realize there's just a thing, one piece that you want to learn about, and you're not in a place where you want to do the full Earth Tenders Academy. And so those items are here now. If you purchase Earth Tenders Academy 1 or 2, these 3 in particular are included in those in Earth Tenders Academy. So if you already have Earth Tenders Academy, you will have these. The only one that's separate is Working with Bigfoot. This one is just completely outside of everything. It's not in the Earth Tenders Academy. So the Sacred Sovereignty workshop is really focused on, again, just learning how your own personal energy field works, how to keep it clear and contained. And this includes these specific workshops and meditations. So keeping your personal energy field clear and contained, clearing and protecting the energy in your home, and then these 3 guided meditations to work with your energy field. So that is now a standalone workshop if you want to do it by itself. But again, it's included in Earth Tenders Academy Level 1. Portals. Lots of people find their way to my website because they just want to know about portals. So now you can do that. I have a workshop that includes one workshop just talking about portals, how they work, what to do with them, the different types of portals, all those types of things. Same thing on stargates. What are they? How are they different? How can you work with them? And then there are 3 guided meditations, one to help you open, close, or move a portal, one to have you, it really is more of an experience, a step-by-step experience to opening a stargate, and then a specific meditation or journey with a portal so that you can just feel what the energy feels like. So that is all by itself. I also realized missing from this list, but my portal ebook is included in this too. So you'll also get that if you get this workshop. But all of this, everything that's in this is also in Earth Tenders Academy Level 2. So just know if you're getting one that you don't need the other. So, and then the Shamanic Journeying 101 is exactly what it sounds like. It is also included in Earth Tenders Academy Level 1. And it is all of the details, everything that you need. If you're just totally new to Shamanic Journeying and you just want to start there and experiment with that, then there is a workshop for that. And finally, this Working with Bigfoot, like I said, is not included anywhere else. So if you're interested in that, this one is separate. Oops, did it open? There we go. And as you know, and have probably heard many of my stories, Bigfoot is an energy that I have been working with for years, and they continue to come forward and share more and more details. I usually say that, if you're working with the grids, you're probably going to come across a Bigfoot energy at some point, because they are also very involved in working with the earth specifically and with the grid. And so I have recorded a specific lesson just about Bigfoot, getting to know them. And then the guided healing with a Bigfoot elder is included in this one as well. So those are all of my offerings. Like I said, big upgrade, lots of changes. The other thing that is totally new is that all of this has been moved to a private podcast platform. And what that means is, instead of watching me talk to you on videos, when you make a purchase of any of these, you get a link to a private podcast feed, and it'll just say, what podcast platform do you want to listen to this in? And so you click the one you want to listen to it in, and it will open up that podcast player and drop the link in there, and then it'll just be in your podcast player like a podcast. And the people who have tried this so far and have experimented have been saying how much easier it is to use, that you're not having to go back and forth between videos, that you're not stuck to watching on your laptop. You can be driving or out for a walk, or actually out in nature while you're doing these meditations. And so it is a totally new way to do it, but I'm getting a really great feedback. So yeah, so that is all of All of the upgrades, all of the updates. Trish says, just went into your website before I joined the call. So interested in all of this, but all new to me. Yes. And hopefully have like some good, starting points for you now that if it's all brand new. Deborah, so on the older version, if you purchase the older version, you still have access to the older version. So what's happened is in doing all of these changes, I've moved to a new platform, and you should, if you have purchased anything from me in the past, you should have received an email, but we did have some issues with email deliverability. So if you don't have it and it's not in your spam, let me know. But you should have received an email with new logins to access the old purchases that you've made. So yes, if you liked watching the videos and, or you had them in the past, they still exist, and you can still access them. So yeah, absolutely. So all of that being said, let me open up the floor to, questions certainly about the courses or the workshops, but you are welcome to pick my brain about anything that you would like. And as you can see, I will say on that page, as you can see, the discounts are already worked in. So you don't need a special code or anything else. You can click through and it'll already be discounted. So yes, Barb has her hand up. So go ahead and unmute yourself, Barb.
I was about to type my question, but I thought, no, it's too long to explain. And anyway,
no worries.
So yeah,
yes.
Now that you're opening the floor, this is great. So I had a couple of questions. One, so had joined Level 1 Academy before you moved this portal over.
Yes.
And so I was a little confused in the transmission, but that's fine. I'm getting it now.
Sorry about that.
At one point, if there's an email that said, that Level 1, the link to Level 1 was there, and that the Level 2 would be included later. What I want to clarify with you is that with what I had before in the old portal, does that, and you're saying you've sort of split up these modules. So what I've now got is Level 1. Would Level 2 be included in that? Or
yes.
So I should have access to Level 2 as well as Level 1?
You will. I'm trying to get it done today,
okay.
Hopefully. So you should, if you already requested access to the Level 1, and this is for existing Earth Tenders Academy members. Because once you're in the Earth Tenders Academy, you get all the upgrades forever and ever. So every time I upgrade it, you'll get the new content. So yes, for everybody who's been waiting on Level 2, you will get it very soon. Fingers crossed today.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify because it's not there yet. Anyway,
it is not,
or as of yesterday, but also as you were going through the information, and I'm not sure exactly what the description was when I purchased it a few months ago. But it's like, well, I kind of already covered a lot of the Level 1 topics.
Yes.
And it may be a good refresher, but I think it was more the Level 2 aspects that I was, wanting to delve further into. Yes. So I've done some shamanic journeying. I've, worked with earth portals and, different, lower world, upper world and whatnot. So, clearing energy, grounding and dealing with that. So as you're describing it now, I'm thinking, well, yeah, maybe that's a bit, not so much too basic, just that's not, so the Level 2 will be included.
Covered that. Yeah. Yeah. And you'll realize if you've gone through the course as it existed in the past, there's a lot of the same things are there. But what I did was I went back and read through my transcripts and, I don't know if anybody else notices this, but, if you're just talking kind of off the cuff with some, bullet points, you maybe ramble a little, or you may, get off topic or don't fully kind of get into a concept as much as maybe you wanted to. And that's what I noticed when I kind of read my video notes. And so with doing it with audio, like I do my regular podcast, I was really able to sit down and write out really clearly and get deeper into some topics and clarify some things more or give more examples. And so even though some of the topics you may say, oh yeah, this is the same one or same video that I already watched, you'll probably find that either I explain things better or I go into more detail or there's more kind of included there. But yeah, if you've gone through kind of the course and the Level 1, then yeah, you're probably ready for the more expanded stuff that's in. Level
Okay,
2.
good.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you. I think that, and what was, I had another question, but I forget, so I'll come back to that.
Okay, no worries. Let's see. Deborah says oh wait, so I missed the earlier question. So Marie says, are we still going to meet to work on someone's property every month? Yes, we are. So, I didn't even mention that. So in level 2, if you're totally new and you're just joining, and level 2 now is where you'll get the live calls. And so, and then of course, everybody who's had Earth Tenders Academy up until now. So we have 2 live calls every month. One is where we meet up and we do a property reading together. And these are on hiatus this month and next month, just as we go through the holidays and as I've been rolling out all these changes. So we'll start again in January with that. And so to me, it's the most useful part. I mean, it's great to like hear and understand the concepts and, go through the meditations, you have your own experiences. But when we get together and have these group readings, it's really the opportunity to compare notes and, increase your confidence really. And, I think this is what happens to a lot of us is we kind of have these experiences in our own meditation, our own journeys, but we're like, did that really happen? Or how do I know if I got it right? Or is that real? And so what we do is we do the journey together. I guide us in the reading, and then we compare notes at the end. And so, no pressure ever to share or talk if you don't want to, but usually most everybody ends up sharing, because at some point someone will say something that someone else will go, oh, that happened to me too. Or, oh, I saw that same spirit, or, oh, I saw that room that you were working in. I was working in that too. And so it really helps boost our confidence that, yeah, the things that I'm seeing or feeling or experiencing are real, and other people are having them too. And so, so that's, we do that call on the second Wednesday of every month. And then on the third Thursday of every month, we do this kind of thing. We jump on for an office hours, and it's just open floor for any kind of Q&A or just whatever topics. And it's always fun to see what kind of discussion comes up, but it's also a good opportunity to get to know the other people that are in the course that are joining the calls. So those 2 live calls happen every single month, which is always fun. So yes, that will be picking up again in January. And Deborah says, when I went in, I'm asked to start over at the beginning. Can I jump through it to level 2? I hope so. I haven't played around with how it functions, all that, but hopefully it'll let you skip. If not, let me know and I'll find out if there's just a setting that we need to do in the platform. Marie says, I'm so happy you're a Virgo. You reviewed and tightened the work to make it as clear as possible. True. Yes. Double Virgo here. Also, and I was talking about this a little bit on Instagram earlier this week. This has been a real exercise for me. I know that I can accomplish a lot really quickly and, a large volume of work in a short period of time, but I still maybe gave myself a lot to do with these upgrades. And I really had to hit a point where I had to say, my need for things to be perfect is probably far beyond most people's needs for things, and it's probably fine. And so some of these things, when I say, oh, I'm still kind of working on the sales page there, those were the things that kind of had to, they'll all be done, but I'm just working through it and attempting to not overdo it and burn myself out. So I wanted to focus on all these calls this week and make sure that that we were all here and had these opportunities. And so I had to cut myself a break. But yes, I hopefully have improved the content significantly. So Trish says, I belong to Intuition Wisdom Institute and still trying to tune in to my higher self. I'm so intrigued by everyone going beyond the self to the earth and channeling, etc. Fascinating. Yeah, we, and I think this is the trick for a lot of us. Like I say, we kind of have some of these experiences, but being able to share with others or see what other people are doing, especially, so much of this work, whether it's your higher self or the land or whatever, in a lot of cases, it is really subtle. And so, when you're really kind of learning and feeling your way into it, it's easy to miss some of what's happening or some of the nuance, or it's easy to think like it's not really happening because you're expecting it to be, either much louder or much more dramatic than it is. And so some of this is a matter of just practicing and getting the hang of like, ooh, I get this, like for me, I get a very specific kind of flutter in my stomach if there is an earthbound spirit in a space. But I've figured that out over many, many, many kind of either readings or being in places or whatever, where I'm like, that I don't feel that feeling any other time except when there's an earthbound spirit. So now it's really easy for me. I can walk into a space and be like, oh, there's something here. But other people experience it totally differently. So it's really a matter of like, it's like learning a new language, right? But with our body and with our senses that we sometimes, can ignore. So that's why it's fun to kind of do and practice and experiment, because we start learning the shorthand. I still wonder about my abilities, but I find that every time we meet, I'm guided to help the land however it occurs. It does boost my confidence for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And that's, there are so many wonderful kind of energies and spirits that are here to help us and walk us through. And, so often it's just a matter of saying, what can I do? Or what do you need me to do? And over time, that's how we start kind of figuring out some of those things about like, oh, this is a special gift that I have because I continue to be asked to do this thing or in this way. And maybe I can work on it and get better at it. So I'm glad that you're feeling like your confidence is being boosted. Beth says, it is amazing to have that confirmation of what you're seeing, feeling during the live calls and readings. Yeah, thanks for providing that platform for connection and understanding. Yes, I agree. And it's great for me too. And I, I still have experiences all the time, or I love to hear back from people after readings that are like, oh, that totally confirmed something for me. Because, a lot of times you're over here thinking, I don't know if I got this right. I don't know if I really picked that up, or this is such a weird thing. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do, and even for me, I've learned to just be like, whatever it is, just share the message because it'll have a meaning, for the person that it's meant for, even if it doesn't mean anything. So yeah, I love the opportunity for us to come together and share. I'm glad that it's helpful. Let's see. Barb says, where are the in-person sessions held? And is there any kind of option to join online, or can they be recorded somehow for those of us from a distance? So I assume you're talking about like the retreat and the sessions that I did last month in Florida. So obviously in-person things were on hiatus for quite a while last year. So these two events I just did in Florida were the first ones I'd done in 2 years. Was the last time that we did that. But my intention throughout the year is 2 or 3 times a year to do in-person gatherings or retreats. Last month was the first time I actually taught the course live. And I really enjoyed it. It's also a lot of content to get through in only a couple of days. So I'm going to think about if I'm going to do it again, how I might retool it or do it differently. But the retreats are wonderful. And once you're in Earth Tenders Academy, then you get the invitations to the retreats. And I'm hoping to do one in the spring, somewhere warm. We'll see where. I actually honestly don't have any ideas. So if you have some location suggestions, send them my way. I'm totally open. Maybe March-ish. And yeah, depending on kind of the content of the retreat, they could potentially be recorded. Obviously, part of the point of the retreat is to kind of get out and do things, as a group in other locations. And those are hard to do as a group. But at this one that we just did last month, each morning we had like a little workshop, and those could be recorded or people could join live. So yeah, so keep I said, I haven't had the opportunity to do anything for a couple of years. So this is just me kind of like putting my toe back in and saying, are people ready to gather and meet in this way? And what should we do? So, so stay tuned, more in person. And then if you do live here locally, I am planning some local, just like workshops and types of things. So
If I could just clarify, I
yes,
was more thinking you were talking about the twice a month Wednesday calls,
once a month.
or once a month. Okay,
Yeah.
the where you do a reading on a property. Are
Yes.
they not in person, or are
Those
they
are on
on?
Zoom. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's what I was asking. How do I, you know, join in? Okay, good.
Yes, those are on Zoom, and you should get an email. This has been a real frustration lately, is that the email service providers are even cracking down on certain content that they don't like. They're scanning emails and just not delivering them. So because I'm, on my end, my email service provider is saying, it'll tell me like 99% of emails delivered or whatever. But I get just about every email. I will get multiple emails from people saying, I don't have your email. It's not in my spam. It's not in my junk. Like, it's literally not getting delivered to you. So, we do our best to get off of social media, who's obviously restricting how much of the content is being shown, and then even emails that you have specifically requested to receive don't always get there. So I do my best to share in the Facebook group, get emails out, post reminders. Even on my Instagram stories, I'll say, tonight's the night we're doing our reading. So I try and catch you from every direction. But yeah, those monthly calls, the property reading calls and the office hours calls, those are on Zoom, so you can come. And yeah, so we do one reading per month and one office hours per month, so there are 2 calls per month. So all right, let's see what else we've got here in the chat. Amber says, the volume of material you put out and the quality it has continues to amaze me. Thank you, Amber. I'm glad you all are enjoying them. Sarah in Florida says that they'd love to have us back. We'd love to go back. It was lovely. We had a great time. So yeah, you're welcome for the clarification. So, all right. What other questions do you all have? I think I got,
Hi.
I don't think I'm missing anything. Yes. Hello, Erica.
Actually, this is taking it a little bit away from maybe the line of questions before, but I wonder, it's funny, I'm actually feeling a little nervous talking because I saw, oh, this is streaming live on Facebook, and I have a little bit of an aversion to Facebook and social media. And I loved your most recent podcast talking about the metaverse. I love it when you talk about the machines. But I am really curious, I've actually not been part of Earth Tenders Academy. And one of my hangups was that I loved the way you included these community aspects, but I know Facebook group was part of that. And I'm curious if I don't know, I would really love to hear you talk about, maybe, of course, it's probably in a transition, not fully formed yet on what's new with that, but I am really curious because I'm finding it challenging to connect with people everywhere without the tools that we have right now. And yet at the same time, I'm really uncomfortable, for example, joining a Facebook group in order to get to do that. Just navigating my own, like, sort of, I love the virtual opportunities, but I'm also like really, really tired of Zooms, even though I'm like happy to join you on Zoom today, all these things. So I would really love to hear maybe where you're at with that. And especially since you've just had this huge kind of like new, reinvigoration of things. So that's the gist of my question.
Yes. Well, thank you for asking it, because, I don't know that I have all the answers. Well, I definitely don't have all the answers. I don't know. I don't have a fully formed answer on where that's going. I definitely kind of started really asking myself where we're going with social media at least a year ago. And here we are another year into it. For the simple answer, you're not missing an incredible amount if you don't participate in the Facebook group with regards to Earth Tenders Academy. We have a Facebook group. You absolutely can participate in there. But there isn't like tons and tons of conversation and, whole, periods of thing. I would say the biggest probably benefit of the Facebook group is being able to connect maybe with other people who are in your area or who are nearby. That being said, although it's getting harder for me to keep track of where everybody is, usually if somebody messages me and says, hey, I'm in such and such location, do you know anybody else? I try really hard to say, oh, I think so-and-so's there and so-and-so's there. So I can usually kind of connect you with people in that way. But I would say that the Facebook group is probably, 1 to 2% of the whole experience. And those of you who are in the group can share your experiences. Marie says she only goes to Facebook for Earth Tenders. Yeah. And and I'm kind of getting to, and so from the bigger perspective question about like, what are we going to do about this? I've been on the fence, a lot of other, kind of, I guess you could say my colleagues, other people doing these types of courses and groups and types of things are moving to other platforms like Mighty Networks. I have a lot of groups on Mighty Networks. It's okay. I don't, I find that I don't really engage on it and I think that's part of it, right? Like it's not a place where where you're already going. And so then you miss the posts or you don't see the things or whatever. So, part of me says like, do we need a community in that way? Are there, other, if we have our opportunity to kind of get together on Zoom, is that okay? I'm still kind of struggling with all that. I don't know where that like hard line in the sand is going to be with Facebook and Instagram and I think we're probably all there, those of us who are kind of using it in this place, because is it going to one day feel totally different and you're going to say, that's it, I'm done. Or are they going to like take us there bite by bite, which is probably more likely, right? Where we don't feel like it's been overhauled overnight. And then suddenly you go, wait, this isn't what I thought I signed up for. So I think at some point, like, we're all going to have to pull the plug. I find personally when I go on Facebook now, if I just scroll my feed, I'm like, what even is this? I don't get the impression that a lot of people are even posting anymore, that they're using it for their groups. My feed is full of just like ads and suggested posts and suggested groups and suggested things I buy on Marketplace and not a lot of posts from friends. So I feel like maybe, they're kind of creating this picture that there's a lot happening when maybe there isn't. So, and yeah, Facebook's been doing that all along already. So Amber says I'm also getting fed up with Facebook. And yeah, thankful to be connected somewhat by following on Instagram. Yeah, and I have used Instagram more and liked it more, but it's still Facebook. So I don't know. I did start earlier this summer a list collecting people's snail mail addresses. It was my intent to start sending a monthly newsletter this fall, and just with this was the other place where I went, maybe I've overcommitted myself. Need to do this in the winter time. So hopefully in January I will start doing that. And I just thought like how fun it would be. I feel like going back to the 90s when you would get your paper newsletter and you have all the information there. So obviously that makes it harder to be like, here's all the Zoom links for our call next week. It's harder to do those types of things, but I kind of like the idea of getting a paper newsletter. And so I'm hopeful to start that. And I guess I'm hopeful that with all of these changes will come opportunities for people to create new things that maybe just aren't here yet. And that maybe there is something coming that will be kind of what we're looking for, this opportunity to collaborate. I did have a group that I'm in move to a platform called Circle. And I was just checking that out the other day. And that was kind of interesting because it groups conversations by topic, which is, I think, the hard thing about Facebook. So you could go in and be like, well, I just want to talk about portals. Let me see what conversations there's been about portals. So, so that's kind of interesting. There's things out there, but I just have not committed to jumping to another platform yet, but I feel like it's coming. I got kicked off Pinterest for a little while this summer. of all places, for very vague and uncertain terms. That's when I started the snail mail thing. So I was like, oh, this is the universe saying, watch out, it's coming. That there's going to be a topic they're not going to like, and you're going to get kicked off. So I try to keep things kind of mellow on social media. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be like the newsletter, email for whatever it works, and the podcast, right? At least at the moment, podcasts aren't being censored. So fingers crossed. So Barb says, I just finished a boot camp on how to start an online business. Not that I plan to, but there were so many tech tips on how to manage your contacts and create a portal for your product. Cool. Steve Dotto Tech has created a group called the Gray Wave, where all the material will be contained, along with ongoing weekly presentations. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's super cool. I also feel like, and I think to your comment about Zoom, because we've all been, right, I think we're zoomed out. And I was even joking on Instagram this week. I'm like, I woke up on Monday and I was like, what was I thinking? Was this a good idea? Like, do people want to be on Zoom for 5 days this week? Like, this is a lot. So I appreciate you all showing up, but yeah, it has done some wonderful things for connection. And on the other hand, I think a lot of us are tired of just like sitting and staring at a screen all day. So, I have been really considering, I think part of what has happened with social media is those of us who are creators can get very sucked into the volume of creation, or the volume of content creation, and feeling this pressure of like, how many posts a week, how many emails a week, how many, you have to stay relevant, you have to stay up, people can't forget about you. And I'm kind of going the opposite direction at this point. I'm just like, I'd rather deliver something, that's really good, that I had the time to really think about or process or channel or whatever, than to feel like I have to be, putting something out on a regular schedule. And so I'm trusting that Spirit will find a way to take whatever content you need and deliver it to you somewhere in the world, wherever you need it. So I know that's kind of a long explanation, but that's kind of where my brain's at.
Thank you so much. May I also just for myself clarify, so just to make sure I understood. So the monthly office hours and the monthly like group healing practice are both Zoom, not part of the Facebook group. The Facebook group is sort of another piece of Earth Tenders Academy, and it's not where those two things happen. Okay,
Correct.
Great. I had not understood that before, or just
sorry.
No. Just
I'm
prior
glad
to
you
this
asked.
call. Yeah, no. So thank you. It was something that I was like, oh, I think I'm not ready to quite do that, but I would want to be able to, participate in those two things. So thank you for speaking on all of that.
And I don't even live stream those to the Facebook group like I've been doing with these, just because, we really are kind of holding a container where we're doing, the healing work. And so it's just whoever's on Zoom will be there. The recording is shared. So if you're not able to make it live, then you can watch it afterwards. But yeah, no, that happens outside of Facebook. Yeah. Okay. And Barb shared a link to the Gray Wave if we're interested. So yeah, thank you for that. I haven't heard of that before. So yeah, Randa says it takes time to digest and integrate. Being overwhelmed and doesn't serve us either. I resent being swamped with hit and run notices. Yeah. And sorry, I've had to email you all so many times this week with all the Zoom links. But I'm feeling that way too. I've like massively unsubscribed and try and keep my inbox minimal, because it's just content overload from every direction all the time. So it doesn't give me time. And that's what I really, in order to do this work, like I need dedicated quiet time. This isn't the kind of work that you can just sit down at a laptop for, 40 hours or more a week and like crank out content, right? Like I have to go wander around in the woods. I've got to take a nap. I have to like meditate. Like that all has to happen. And so there has to be dedicated disconnection time, so that there's something to share when I plug back in and when I connect. So I've been trying to be much more conscious of protecting, my time and my space to do that. So yeah. Beth says, I'm not on Facebook. Oop. And do the live calls and find them very helpful to stay connected. Okay, great. Wonderful. Ali says, an introduction to transcend time and space. That is for sure. Absolutely. Trish says, I'm only on Facebook because of my group. I was off it until I joined them. Yeah, I feel like that's the case for a lot of people. They're like, oh, there's a couple groups I participate in, and that's why I get on. But, I think I posted on my Facebook, like my personal Facebook last week, like just asking if anybody wanted one of my kombucha scobies. And that was like the first time I posted for months. Like I just even realized from like whatever the Facebook algorithm does, even if I post like a pretty picture of something I'm doing, like they don't show it to people. It's like, unless I'm posting some kind of thing that's going to get a lot of discussion, heated discussion is I think what they value, from what I can tell. And that's not what I'm on Facebook. So Barb says, I found out my email has been flagged because I get too many subscription stuff that I don't always read. So it's been tallied and flagged that if you add me to your customer list, the delivery is blocked to me. Wow, I didn't know that was a thing. So like you're signing up for things and then they think you're not reading them. So they're just like, we're just not going to get these to you. Oh, wow. Well, that would explain where some of these emails go. Barb says, or at least that happened with one provider I personally did connect with, but it turns out her mail processor won't deliver to me. Interesting. Deborah says, Spirit had me reevaluate the friends on Facebook, said it was draining my energy even when I'm not actively on it. I went from 430 people, most of whom I never talked to, down to under 50. Yeah. And this is really, I think I shared about this in some of the energy hygiene stuff, because we forget, where's my phone? Like this is a computer that holds, whatever, thousands of contacts. I got prompted over the summer to clean out like my phone contacts, because how often do we do that? And I went through and I was like, oh my gosh, I have like the entire, phone numbers of like jobs I had 10 years ago from people, and then they're just in there and I didn't realize they were still there. And so I got kind of the same prompting, like clean out your phone, clean out, because you really are, they're like, they're open cords of energy coming out of your field to all of these places. And so they're going to your Facebook friends, they're going to your Instagram. And I think it was last year, I had a period of time where I was really like trying not to use my phone or social media as much. And I was noticing like my phone could be totally across the room or like in a next room. And it felt energetically like there were these like tendrils coming out, like trying to find me from my phone. And I was like, well, I don't like that. I don't like that feeling at all. And so, yeah, it really is like super important with your energy hygiene. And it's a good reminder, because I kind of do that too. I usually, once or twice a year, we'll go through my friends list and be like, don't know who this person is, don't know like how we got to be friends, like, time to remove them. But I kind of like the idea of like 50 people seems manageable. Oh, I'm missing some of the comments here. Yeah, energetic cords, definitely. So many energetic cords that we just don't, I just think about a couple generations ago, it was like, you just had the people in your, community and your family circle, maybe, that you knew. And that was it. Like other people didn't have access to our energy. So on the one hand, the technology's made it great that we can connect and find all of these people around the world that we never would have. But yeah, it's it is a lot of energetic cords and a lot of energy. And so if we're not conscious daily, I do it before I go to bed, where I just cut all cords, send everybody's energy back to them, bring all of my energy back, just because you don't even know like where you make all of these little kind of energetic connections throughout the day. So yeah, Barb says, I didn't either. Now I forget what you were replying to, but about the email. You didn't know that either. Have no idea how to solve that, but I've been trying to diligently clean up those subscriptions I don't really want. Sometimes you get subscribed just because you look at something they offer. Yeah. Or like every time you make a purchase about something, then you're on their list forever. And yes, it's probably disrupting or blocking new energy coming into me. Amber says, my phone simply died and I lost all the content on it. I didn't listen to the request to clean it up soon enough. Yep. You get the smackdown. Like, we'll just take your phone away from you. I'm trying not to have to go that far. Being in it within rather than external production is huge. I agree. I'm writing a book about my NDE and have to be accessible to that energetic and dimension. It's translating energetic energy and symbology, etc. Sensing through it takes time and needs stillness, at least for me. Totally agree. Yeah, I had a journey a couple of weeks ago where I was being shown, like, on the one hand, and this is, I shared a little bit about this in the podcast this week. On the one hand, I was really being shown, like, almost like the hermit living in the cabin in the woods on the edge of society, right? And kind of like holding a lantern, like, this is, come over here if you if you want to stay connected with the earth. And so kind of staying on the outside and holding the vision. That's what they kept saying to me. It was like, hold the vision, hold the vision. But also, and it was kind of like the hawk, right? Like the hawk was like able to fly in and, drop little bits of, information or whatever, and then fly back out. And I think that for those of us who do kind of work in these spheres, or, remembering what we're doing on a grand scale and really on this path of awakening or path of ascension or whatever, is that, there do need to be, people are looking for the signs and they're looking for the messages and they're looking. And so how do we, go in and infiltrate, drop, bits of information or wisdom or whatever for other people to pick up their breadcrumbs and then find their way back out. And so I do feel like it's it's as much a spiritual practice as anything else. How do you be in it without being consumed by it? So what do you have to do to get a mug? Do you not have a mug, Stacy? You should have one. Everybody gets a mug when you join the Earth Tenders Academy, level 1 or 2. I should bring one to my studio here. I don't have one to show you, but you get a mug in the mail. And what you do actually have to do to get a mug is, after you join, the very first email, I think it's in the PS maybe, says like, hey, will you do me a quick favor and answer a couple of questions, including giving me your address to where we should send the mug. And you got to click that link. And even if you don't answer my questions that are like, what made you sign up? You can skip those if you want. But do give me your address. Yeah, Stacy, shoot me an email. And then I can, I have a helper. I have an assistant that takes care of the mugs, because I am the worst person ever when it comes to getting mailing projects done. When it was my job, like, months would go by and people are like, am I ever going to get my mug? Like, I know, mailing projects are not my strong suit. Now my assistant takes care of it all, and she gets them out to you really quickly and right away. So yeah, Barb says, I think mine's on the way. Perfect. Yeah, she's pretty efficient, unless like she runs out of mugs and I have to order more. So yeah, Trish doesn't even have a cell phone. I mean, I think some of us are headed that way for sure. It's definitely freeing. Barb says, my medicine name given to me is White Hawk. Lovely. So I have a lot to learn about that power and gift. Yes. It's beautiful. Let's see. I missed that prompt first off, but found it when I went through the emails from the start of when I signed up. Yeah. I should probably add it to a couple more emails. I can't remember if it's in more than one, but it's definitely in the first one. And then you click it. It's just a little Google form and you can put your address in there. And as long as you do that, then your mug will go out to you in the mail. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed talking about all this. I'm happy to stay on for a couple more minutes if anyone's feeling like they've got more questions. Yes, I see you raising your hand, Rhonda.
Hi, I wondered if you have come across any of the earth elementals, like are in Findhorn. They're really well known in Findhorn in Ireland. And if you have come
Mhm.
across that, because they help with the growth of nature and the energetic caring and kind of the chemicalization processes that helps create
Yeah, I am familiar with them in general. I have not worked with them a lot. Here and there, they will pop up for me, but not near as much. And I have always been curious, like, are they coming at some point? Will they? I don't know. So I'm not like the expert on that topic. Even fairies like kind of come and go, but I don't get a lot of that activity, and I don't know why that is. I probably need to create a little altar just for them and invite them in. But yes, I actually read one of the Findhorn books over the summer, and it's just so magical to hear about everything they did there and how awesome it was. I probably need to spend even more time in my garden.
out of nothing. Things wouldn't even grow there, and it turned into this magical garden.
Yeah, it was like a beach, right? It's like sand.
Yeah.
And yes, you got the spelling correct. I don't have any of my books here. I can't remember which one I read. There's a few of them, but they go back to, I think they were initially written maybe in the 1970s. And it was like the gentleman that started, obviously, like more people kind of came, and it became it still exists, kind of a collective community. But initially there were three of them. It was a man, his wife, and a friend of theirs. And I think it was the friend was the one, like, she was channeling these spirits, and he was doing a lot of the actual physical work in the gardens. And so she would tune in specifically, like, oh, I want to work with the deva of this particular plant or tree. And so then, like, there would be a whole message channeled about, like, here's what kind of nutrients they need, here's how they want to be even some of the things like, oh, well, you would always harvest this particular plant this way, and the actual, like, I think they use the term deva, right? But elemental, like, if the plant would be like, no, that's not actually how we want to be harvested at all. It should be like this or whatever. So they really started just like following all of this guidance. And it was like a sandy, beachy area. And it just turned into, the most productive garden anywhere. And obviously that attracted more people, and then more people did more experiments, and all kinds of different things. So really, really fascinating if you haven't connected. Yeah, the link is in here, findhorn.org. So yes, Stacy says, Barb, I was prompted to move in 2019 and kept being drawn to a particular location and stumbled upon followinghawks.com somehow. Oh yeah. It's, what, this is another back to the internet thing, although I love the elementals chat too. But I am realizing also, I think, like, we believe, some of these things as far as, like, oh, you need to be on social media for people to find you. And I think lots of people find me on social media, but I find most people tell me, and you all can tell me how you came across my website, but a lot of people just say, I found you in an internet search. And that's what Spirit tells me too, is they're like, you have to keep putting things on your website, because then we're like, whoever was talking about, it was another call I was on, talking about the angels of the internet, right? They're like making those connections in the background. And so you type in a search, and, my website or whoever's website you're supposed to connect with is what, comes up in the search. So part of me is just like, you're going to find your way if this is, if this is what you're looking for. So yeah. I searched talking to trees. Yeah. Me investigating my medicine name. Yeah, the hawks, that's a big connection for a lot of people. If they're looking up hawk information, oftentimes they find their way. Hawks, portals, Bigfoot. those are the big ones that get. And trees. Yeah, talking to trees for sure. Yeah, Barb, did you want to unmute yourself?
I just something came to mind, and I think somebody else that I was talking to, and it came up about fairies, and it was drawn to my attention that they are around, and we need to honor them. And if you want to be aware of them, but they were saying you have to leave a plate of food for them with all the food groups, something from each food group, but don't ever forget chocolate.
Ah.
And I
I
think it
do
was supposed to
love
be in a certain corner, like the northeast corner of your house or something. Or and I don't know if. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to quickly share that
Yeah,
and
thank
say,
you. I
yeah,
so I go back and forth with this. We have bears. And so I'm like, I can't leave food out. Like I'm gonna attract bears. And so I always feel so I have a little spot that I make offerings to the fairies that I feel is like their spot on our property. And I usually leave, like flowers or plant or like cuttings from plants and those types of things, and they seem to like it. But yeah, everybody's told me that too about the food, and I'm like, I don't know if I feel comfortable leaving out foods that are going to attract bears like around my house. But what's funny is I had this little spot. It's like underneath where the Stargate is at on the property, and it's like a little slice of wood, from cutting trees or whatnot, that I kind of had as an altar. And anytime I would find some little like trinkety thing, I would put it there. And I was trying to leave it for Bigfoot. And Bigfoot keeps laughing at me and being like, we're not playing this game with you. Like, do you really want to do this? And I'm like, oh, come on, want to be fun? And they're like, yeah, we don't want to do that. So because some people have the same exchange going on with Bigfoot. Mine apparently don't want to play that game. So, but I just keep leaving things there. So there was like a penny, there was like a little, it was like a jewel out of a piece of costume jewelry that I just found while I was walking one day. And I had that there. I had a little crystal there. I don't know. There were little things. They've been there for 2 years, right? Like the snow falls, the snow melts, they stay there. Like nothing has ever moved or been disturbed, added to it on occasion. A couple of months ago, it's gone. It all disappeared. I get the message or the impression it's the fairies. The fairies were like, well, if nobody else wants this, we're going to take it. So apparently now I need to make that the fairy altar and like start leaving things there and seeing if they take them. But anything that I put outside, that it's this really interesting little spot that's like, it's at the base of a tree that fell down a long time ago. And so it's got some rotting wood and lots of moss, but it has like a really interesting little opening. And it feels like a fairy house to me. And so that's usually where I leave things for them. Anything I leave there doesn't last more than it's like less than a week. It'll disappear, like whole flowers, and I mean, I guess it could be the deer coming along and eating them or whatnot, but I think they take them. They certainly took all the things on the altar. So let's see. I just asked for like people frequency to associate with, and you came into my sphere. I don't remember how. I could tell from your energetic and knowledge base you had a feeling of home. Oh, thank you. I know, and I have all of my kind of social media and everything kind of set up of like, if you don't resonate with it, you can't see it. Like that's kind of my energetic hygiene for all of my things, because I don't want to spend a lot of time engaging with people that are hateful, disagreeable, whatever, like if this doesn't resonate with you, like move on along, and find somebody else. So yeah, tricksters, I assume you mean the fairies. Yeah. So Deborah says, thanks so much, Amy. So appreciate your heart, energy, and care you have for us in this work. Many joys to you and all you beautiful ladies. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah, for participating. Thank you, everybody who participated on a call this week, either by speaking or by listening and joining and coming into the chat and the conversation. So, and yeah, if there's any other questions, or you have questions about the offerings or anything that's confusing, just send me a message and let me know. And yeah, for all the existing earth tenders, I'm working on getting you the level 2. So you'll have that soon. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for being here, and have a wonderful weekend. a wonderful holiday week if you are in the US. And I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.